Morning.
Now it's on. All right. So a man walked into a bar, and he had this little terrier dog under his arm, and the bartender said, "Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't allow dogs in here." The guy said, "But check this out." And he put the little dog down on the piano stool, and the dog reached his paw and went, plink. And all the bar people said, "That is so cute." And then the dog really got going, and it was playing Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue, and it was just going and it was fantastic. And everybody had tears in their eyes. And it was so wonderful that they didn't even notice, coming from the distance, this loud, deep, bellowing barking that kept getting closer and closer and closer until this giant Rottweiler came bounding into the room, grabbed the little dog by his neck in its teeth, and just went running out again. And the bartender said, "Hey, man, I think your little dog's in trouble." The guy said, "Yeah, that's his mom. She wanted him to be a doctor." Welcome to this place, which we make holy by our presence. These doors are open to all. Bring your brokenness and your power. Bring your fatigue, your early morning aches, and your energy. For here you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than who you are and who you are called to be. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, where the human is celebrated, where compassion is strength. Welcome to this place. Together, we make it a holy place. Please join me for the words of the chalice lighting that are printed inside of your leaflet. Put that book down. Yep. Leave. Oh, okay. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. And our first hymn today will be number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
Now, can everybody hear me? Does that make? I can't hear myself. Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense. What number is it again, please?
649.
Got it. Thank you. We are now reading The Eternal Now, 649, written by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, from generation to generation. In a house which becomes a home, one hands down and another takes, of the heritage of mind and heart, laughter and tears, musings and deeds. Love, like a carefully loaded ship, crosses the gulf between the generations. Therefore, we do not neglect the ceremonies of our passage when we wed, when we die, and when we are blessed with a child. When we depart, and when we return, when we plant, and when we harvest. Let us bring up our children. It is not the place of some official to hand to them their heritage. Let us build memories in our children, lest they drag out joyless lives, just lest they allow treasures to be lost because they have not been given the keys. We live not by things, but by the meaning of things. It is needful to transmit the passwords from generation to generation. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you.
Go on the decks.
Yep. Well.
Now I've turned it. Now it's off? Now it's on. Okay. You know, at the center of this service, the most important part of this gathering is that we are here. We are here together. That's what changes this, you know, whatever constellation of bricks and mortar and drywall into a church. That's what makes this a sacred space. This space is not sacred when we are not here. Well, I mean, it's sacred because, yes, it's true. Because Patty's here. Patty keeps it sacred for us. That's right. The other days of the week. And this gathering is sacred. And, you know, we have loss. We have loss. And we have sorrow. And the way that we as humans survive that is that we hold together. So, I encourage you to think about, you know, if there is some sorrow or if there is some joy from this last week that you would like to share with the congregation, I think you'll find that sorrows are lightened when we share them and that joys are magnified. So please take a moment, think about if there's something you'd like to share, and if you do, you're welcome to light a candle up front.
Good morning. Peter told me you should stand up here because they can hear you better. So I will do that. My name's Meg. Well, kind of a mixed bag. Yesterday, I this is the worst way, but I had some words with my nephew on texting. I wasn't liking his behavior, the way that he was treating my mother. And it kind of got a little bit heated. So I turned my phone off, and I decided, you know, I'm not going to be a slave to technology and texting and say things through there that I didn't mean and or do mean or not ready to elaborate on. So what did I do? I made bread, and I have a bread maker, which I hadn't really used yet, and I'm a scientist by nature, so I was like, writing my recipe, right down to the milliliter of water. But it came out pretty good, and it reminded me of how, like, as I was smelling it in the apartment, how probably perhaps for thousands of years that's what people have done, made bread, and brought joy back into my heart. My mother's going to be moving, as you know. I've talked about that for months. I got her apartment. What a blessing! Finally, at the Kibler Building in Tonawanda, about a mile from where I live in North Tonawanda. So her move is on Monday, St. Patty's Day. So with that, I will light a candle. Thank you.
Well, this will be another candle for Betsy, our greatest joy while she was here, and our greatest sorrow now that she's gone. The candle to symbolize the light, her light, that will always be with us.
Hello? Somebody dropped the stick. So I'm just all snarky pants this morning until I came down here, and then I've just gone past snarky pants to being silly because I'm really tired. And while I really love the warm weather that's coming, I hate being awakened in the middle of the night because it's the weekend to out the back. I don't know what they were hunting down or chasing. Never mind. Need I say more? I guess I'll just light a candle for hope they caught the you know what. Well, it could have been a cat, but I don't think so. Oh boy, human beings.
I just wanted to announce that my aconites are blooming, and they're little yellow flowers that come up every spring. They're really the first ones, those of you who have these small little white, not daffodils, what are they called? The little white ones that come up. I just lost the name. No, not crocus. Pardon? No. Snowdrops. Thank you, Patty Lisk. I need a number of prompts at my age. And they're before absolutely before them. And normally I would even see some as early as February. But of course, at least at my home, all of the icy banks covered them all up. So I am looking forward to spring. And the other thing I wanted to mention, just to also reiterate kind of what Kitty was saying. At my age, I think a lot about Betsy and other losses that I see around me as friends and neighbors, and we all age. and I hope it's okay, but sometimes when I'm alone, I laugh a lot because I have funny memories, and Betsy is one who was so much fun. And at the same time, Betsy was one who was one of the most giving, empathetic people I know. So it's that strange conjecture. And as I say, sometimes when I'm laughing, I think, am I laughing too much? Am I okay? But really, I learned so much from her, and I have so many funny memories as well as other good ones. So I light a candle for the coming flowers and for the fact that I've lived long enough that unfortunately there are the losses, but there are the joys of having all of these wonderful relationships.
I'm going to light one more candle for those joys and sorrows that we are still holding inside. And now is the time of the offertory when we share our gifts for the work of this church.
I know that this will probably be the most controversial thing you've ever heard me say. And some of you will never forgive me once I say it. But we just adopted the world's greatest dog. Dog owners, don't be alarmed. We didn't kidnap your dog. And before you start snarling and growling and snapping at me, let me just say, I mean no disrespect to anyone else's pets. And this is not just a matter of personal preference or opinion. I have a master's degree in Bible studies, and she really is. She's smart and well-supported. And as far as we can tell, the part Australian England. We've already alerted the secrets nowadays. This is a good sign, since we're still house training. But at least we raised him well enough to keep the family.
Check, check. There we go. We can still change the name, but it'll cost me $15 for a new tag. So I think so far we're happy with it. We've got a long history, Cro-Magnons and canines, with some pretty convincing signs that the human race has been raised by wolves for 10,000 years. Even the tradition of dog lovers getting their picture taken with their pets can be traced back 8 or 9 millennia. We found a cliffside carving in Saudi Arabia showing a hunter with 13 dogs, 2 of them on leashes. These may be the oldest images of dog domestication, being 8 or 9,000 years old. It's a little bit ironic to call it dog domestication because to domesticate means to house train someone. And 8,000 years ago, people were not domesticated yet. It might even make more sense to say that the dog spent thousands of years house training the person, since the earliest signs of settled human habitation roughly coincide with cohabitating with dogs. The whole idea of people living in caves, when you think about it, is incredibly impractical. Sleeping in a cold, wet cavern, you would freeze in your sleep, and if a tiger shows up, you're cornered in a death trap. So it wouldn't even make sense to sleep in a cave unless you had a canine companion as a heated pillow and panther alarm. How dogs ever learned to put up with us is another question. Pack hunting wolves were obvious competitors for pack hunting humans. We both love sausages. And even before sausages were domesticated, we both loved the free-range wild ancestor of the sausage, known as the wild boar. That was a sausage with legs and tusks and a jaw that could bite through bone. Far more dangerous than our modern ballpark frankfurter. The humans and the wolves both figured out that if you could get one member of the pack to distract the ferocious front end of this creature, then other members of the pack could go for its delicious flanks. And also its ridiculous curly tail. Anyway, at some point it seems that some wolves decided to adopt some humans and train them as hunting assistants. Wolves have advantages in scent, sound, and speed, and the humans have color vision, projectiles, and predictions. Plus, we make for a good interspecific team. A dog raised among humans really doesn't seem to know that we are a different species. Thousands of years before scientists discovered the existence of bacteria, dogs were licking hunters' wounds with antibacterial drool. So a hunter with a canine companion was likely to live longer than a hunter without one. 20 years ago, when I was doing log cabin construction in Virginia, the foreman had this little dog, Mr. Fatback, a wiry terrier with a mustache, and he always wore a bandana around his neck like a Boy Scout. And he was our medic, and we would come home to the trailer after a long day of playing with saws and drills and lumber, with our cuts and scrapes, and he would just go to work, one by one. He would tend to our wounds, lick off our blood, clean and disinfect our cuts. And then he would wipe off his mustache on this one spot on the couch, which just developed this like rust-colored stain. But it wasn't so much a couch with stains. It was more like a collection of stains with something inside that had once been a couch. I really think it was only the stains that kept that couch standing. Just like I really believe that it was only the mushrooms growing in the walls that kept that trailer like upright. That was a pretty filthy time in my life. But I really did love that little dog. And hearing myself say that I knew him 20 years ago, I've got to insist that he's still alive. Like maybe all of that human blood gave him some kind of longer lifespan. Even in modernity, when so many humans are being replaced by machines, dogs are still pretty secure in their careers as drug sniffers, trackers, police officers, shepherds, exterminators, and security alarms. One afternoon a few years ago, Elizabeth and the kids went out. I had the whole house to myself, so I decided to take a nap on the living room couch. And our dog barked, one little bark, because someone had climbed in through our kitchen window. And she didn't attack the guy because she was the laziest dog in the world. But at least that one quick yip woke me up enough to scare him away as he went to open the side door for his partner. I'm pretty scary when I wake up before I've had my coffee. I never did thank that dog for saving my life. I'd assume she'd have answered something like, "It's the least I could do." And I'd say, yeah, that one bark was the absolute least you could have done. But things could have gone pretty different without that warning. And I suspect that it's from dogs that we learned social networking, because they can keep track of all the neighborhood canine news by sniffing around on a walk, like the lamppost, which they call the gossip column. And then they can leave their own little message. They can mark the tree. They call it logging in. I take Daisy out, and she's charging at the trunks and the hydrants for status updates. Oh, Rufus got to eat an egg for breakfast. Oh, Goldie's pregnant again. Hey, Rex is back in town. She follows all these threads and vines, and I get jerked along behind her with a little green baggie and whose idea was this? I shall now invent a green plastic bag expressly for picking up dog droppings from the sidewalk. But you know what would be hilarious? We're going to manufacture this bag so you can't get it open without having to lick your fingers. It's like, I don't want to lick my fingers on the sidewalk. I hate those little bags. My favorite biblical quote is from the book of Proverbs. Like a dog that returns to its vomit is a fool who reverts to his folly. That quote is not devotional. It's not a prayer. It doesn't give me comfort in times of sorrow. But there's a lesson in that, I don't know, I think the only way to learn that lesson is to become someone else. The whole meaning of my life is a repetition of folly, striving toward a perfection of folly. And as I strive and struggle to reach the peaks of Folly Mountain or whatnot, to become the perfect fool, the Bible says that I'm like an undignified dog. And I'm kind of inclined to be grateful, since Scripture in general has such a low opinion of humanity. But I know that dog is not intended as a biblical compliment. I won't go into a whole biblical history of dogs today, but there's one story that I'd like to share because I think it's one of the most powerful moments in the whole Christian canon. And I believe it's got a good message for us today. In the Gospel according to Mark, Jesus fed a whole multitude of Israelites with just a few loaves and fishes. And this, of course, made him an instant celebrity. Everybody wanted him to keep doing this thing. And there were so many people looking for him that he snuck across the border from Israel into Syria to hide out there until the excitement died down. So he's hiding out in Syria, and this woman finds him, this Syro-Phoenician woman. These are ancient enemies of the Israelites. And she says that her young daughter is very sick or possessed by a demon, and that Jesus should come and perform a healing or an exorcism. But instead, he looks at this tearful mother and says, "Let the children first be filled, for it is not right to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs." Not only does he refuse care, but he also refuses compassion. He tells her that his healing ability is only for the children of Israel. And because she is Syrian, he calls her dying daughter a dog. If he'd had social media accounts, I think this comment would have got him canceled, crucified in the press, or maybe promoted to the head of some government agency denying treatment to a child from the other side of the border. In modern Christianity, I guess that would make him kind of a saint. But Christianity did not exist yet. But then a miracle occurs. An honest-to-goodness biblical miracle. The little girl's mother, you would think that she would tell him to go sit on a crown of thorns or slap him on the right cheek and see if he really did offer his left. Anyway, she doesn't do that. Instead, she persisted, saying, "Yes, but the dogs under the table at least get to eat the children's crumbs." And he stops. And he thinks, and he says, "For saying this, your daughter is healed. Go on your way." We don't hear that story much. How many of us have ever heard that story before? It's not a story you hear very often because it doesn't harmonize well with that old sleepaway camp song, "Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world." That song is so well-rounded. This gospel story has jagged edges. Jesus in the story is insensitive and prejudiced and rude. Like there's no excuse for bad manners, even if you were actually born in a barn. But what I think is a miracle here, regardless of the healing, is that the woman challenges Jesus and he listens. She's got a quick and nimble intellect, and he respects that, and he changes his mind. And then he does something else. He goes out in public and gives one of his lectures and does some healing, and when the crowd gets hungry, he repeats the miracle of the loaves and fishes, and this time it seems kind of anticlimactic, since the first time he fed 5,000 and the second time he feeds only 4,000. It seems odd to report that he reprised the miracle only smaller. But actually, it was bigger in a way, because the first time he fed only Israelites. And this time, he feeds the Gentiles, the non-Israelites. It's not just a reheated leftover miracle. It ties back to this brief exchange with the Syrian woman. He told her he only came to serve Israelites. She said that he should help non-Israelites too. And he does it. That woman doesn't even have a name in the story. But she gets him to rethink his whole mission. and become more inclusive. And I think that there's a powerful message in that. Today, as American Christianity seeks bold new ways to deny care and compassion to children from across the borders. Can you imagine that it's Christianity looking for new ways to deny care and compassion? Well, Jesus was kind of a jerk in that story. But this woman didn't give up on him. If there's going to be any decency in this world, I don't know if it's going to come from exalted saviors. But I do believe that it can come from little moments of human connection and compassion. And perseverance. Like this woman who demanded to be treated as a fellow human, even as this guy called her sick daughter a dog. Anyway, this comes to mind as I think about dogs today. As for the little dog under our table, if that Syrian woman came over for dinner, I know that our resident healer, Elizabeth, would help her daughter any way that she could, not just because she's a doctor, but because we believe that all people deserve compassion. And I would have compassion toward that woman too, but I would also say to her, let's not talk about children dropping scraps under the table. We really are trying to train this pretty little dog. She is a little lady, after all. Thank you. Our next hymn is number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard nights. If you cannot sing like the angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us through the hard nights.
We have any announcements today? Yes, please.
Unfortunately, I'm totally unprepared, which is not really normal for me. Teresa, I don't know what happened to Teresa. She's not here. So I'm going to do what Teresa was going to do.
Do you need a moment to prepare? I've got a couple of short announcements.
Sure.
If you need.
Sure.
Okay, good. While they're setting that up, couple of quick announcements. Just a moment. First of all, in in my struggle to get the 4 kids out the door this morning, I left my laptop. So today we are not going to have adult education. We will continue. I will be back the last Sunday of this month, so we'll continue then. Also, I will be leading Betsy's celebration of life on Saturday, the 22nd. So we will be gathering there. There will be information in the newsletters, and I'll be sharing some stories at that. And we've got, and you go ahead. You want to do the announcement?
Yeah, sure.
This guy has an announcement.
I know I've hogged the stage, but I promise this is the last thing. I promise. Then we can move on, I swear. Last year, my dad was very nice, and he gave me a short podium just to announce that I was in a show for Shakespeare in Delaware Park, and now I am once again asking for you all to join me in a performance, because since we're all like one big family, I would hope that you would invite me to things, so I will invite you to things as well. This weekend, it opens March 13th. St. Patrick's Day weekend. I will be in a show called The Informer. In 1923, Dublin, a communist organization is hunting after an informer who led to the shooting of a very prominent member. I will be playing a very small role, but I would love for everyone here to be there because I love you guys. I would hope that you all would be there to help me with this. We love you. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
So that'll be next week.
Now, as I hope you all know, for our pledge drive event on April 6th, we're going to be talking about the kind of renewal of our 7 principles, and it'll be kind of interesting, I think. I don't know where Teresa is, so I'm going to play the part of Teresa today. So we're talking. There she is. Better late than never. So today we're just going to run through quickly our 3rd principle and our 4th. Would you like to do it? Oh,
I didn't pay attention to that. We're going to start with the 3rd principle, the acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. And where I found this, when I do these things, I end up going down rabbit holes. And where I found this was actually on a Christian rock website. And I thought it was really, really interesting because I think it's a beautiful example of accepting one another as we are and being able to be our authentic selves. So if you want to key up the first one.
Join me for the words of extinguishing the chalice, which are printed in your leaflet. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Together, we have sanctified this space. If you have found strength and comfort here, share some out there. Remember that you are blessed, and you are a blessing, and you are not alone.
My dog's bigger than your dog. My dog's bigger than yours. I'm really tired. I don't know if I can do this. My dog's bigger than. Oh, wait, no. My dog chases all the mailmen. My dog's bigger than yours.
And my dad's tougher than your dad.